भावनिधि धीराधीर जनप्रिय प्रियकरौ निर्मत्सरौ पूजितौ श्री चैतन्य कृपाभनौ भुवि भुव भारावहं तारकौ वन्दे रूप सनातन रघुजगौ श्रीजीव गोपालकौ कृष्ण कीर्तन गानन तन परौ धीराधीर जन प्रिय प्रियकन निर्मत्सरौ पूजितौ कृष्ण कीर्तन गानन तन परौ।
Nectar of Devotion, Chapter 8, Offenses to be Avoided. The offenses against the chanting of the holy name are as follows. First, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Second, to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Sometimes the atheistic class of men take it that any demigod is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. But one who is a devotee knows that no demigod, however great he may be, is independently as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, if someone thinks that he can chant Kali, Kali or Durga, Durga, and it is the same as Hare Krishna, that is the greatest offense. Third, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. Fourth, to blaspheme the Vedic literature if someone thinks that he can chant in pursuance of the Vedic version. Fifth, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. Sixth, to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord. Seventh, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. Because by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one can be freed from all kinds of sinful reactions. It should not be taken that one may continue to act sinfully and after that chant Hare Krishna to neutralize his sins. Such a dangerous mentality is very offensive and should be avoided. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities. Karma Kanda. 9th, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Anyone can take part in chanting the holy name of the Lord, but in the beginning one should not be instructed about the transcendental potency of the Lord. Those who are too sinful cannot appreciate the transcendental glories of the Lord, and therefore it is better not to instruct them in this matter. 10th, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names, and to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success.
Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. Sorry for the problem. I'll fix it as soon as I can.
Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Saprajatam Sahagana Raghunathannitam Tvam Sajeevam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Radha Krishna Padam Sadhana Lalita Sri Vidyābhūṣaṇam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Radha Srivasadi Gaur Bhakti Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. It's Sunday, June 21, and welcome everyone to the reading of the Delhi edition of the Srimad Bhagavatam by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, founder and Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Hare Krishna movement or the Krishna Consciousness movement. The class is being conducted by His Grace Yaśodā-nandana Dāsa, who is a senior disciple of Śrīla Prabhupāda. He saw Śrīla Prabhupāda as a teenager and soon joined the Hare Krishna movement in the 1960s. He received first initiation from Śrīla Prabhupāda in August 1969. He was instrumental, along with Guru Kripa Swami, in funding the construction of three major temples, the Krishna Balaram Temple in Vrindavan, India, and the Mayapur Chandrodaya Mandir in Mayapur, in Calcutta, near Calcutta, West Bengal, and Shri Radha Madan Mohan Temple in Hyderabad, Andhra Pradesh. He traveled extensively throughout South India with Guru Kripa Swami in 1972 and 1973, and in 1975 and 76 with Achyutananda Swami. He was also made in charge of the installation of the deities in the Hyderabad temple in 1976 and the temple in Fiji in 1977. In late 1976, Śrīla Prabhupāda also selected him to manage the Bhaktivedanta Swami Gurukul in Vrindavan. So now, without further delay, I would like to turn the program over to him. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Today, what we will be doing for the first portion of the program, we'll be celebrating the disappearance of Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa. As we all know, Prabhupada dedicated his Bhagavad Gita as it is, purports and presentation to His Grace, His Divine Grace, Śrīla Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa. Although today is not his direct appearance day, it's coming up on the 24th of June on Wednesday. Today we'll be celebrating his disappearance day, as well as the appearance day of Srimati Gangamata Goswamini. I will be reading some selected portion from a lecture of Srila Prabhupada, and then we will proceed with a new format where we will be reading different citations from Srila Prabhupada explaining the position of a pure devotee, because there seems to be considerable misunderstanding in some segments of the Vaishnava community about who is Srila Prabhupada. And what is a pure devotee? What is a liberated soul? What is a Paramamsa? What is a Mahabhagavat? What is an Uttamadhikari? And how does one can come to the platform of becoming a pure devotee? But most importantly, what is a Nitya Siddha, eternally liberated soul? So we will proceed with our reading today regarding Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa Prabhu. This is a lecture from Srila Prabhupada in Los Angeles on June 14th, 1970. May he who so mercifully and municipally was kind towards me and bestowed his favor by ordering me in a dream to write down his own commentary, which he would compose, and which attained such renown amongst the learned circles that he bestowed upon me the title Vidyābhūṣaṇa. May that dear friend of Srimati Radharani, who holds him dearer than her own life, be glorified. May that Sri Govinda be glorified. So today is the birthday of Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa. Although we're celebrating his disappearance day, we're just reading about his illustrious devotional achievements. So Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa, you have seen in my Bhagavad Gita, his name is dedicated to Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa, who has written the commentary on Brahma Sutra, Govinda Bhashya. Sri Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa is our Acharya. Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa is a fourth generation Acharya from Lord Chaitanya, fourth or fifth. Anyway, he's one of the Acharyas, just like Goswamis, they are Acharyas, Srinivasa Acharya. So Acharya Parampara, disciplic succession. So Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa is also Acharya in this Gaudiya Sampradaya. So his special gift, every Acharya means he gives some special things. Previous Acharya has given, and the next lecture of Srila Prabhupada, and Sripad Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa Prabhu Acharya gives something more. That is the symptom of Acharya. In the incarnation also, just like Lord Buddha incarnation, then Shankaracharya, then Ramanujacharya, then Madhvacharya, then in this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Every Acharya is giving a further lift. So Sri Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa also gave a further lift to this Sampradaya. What is that? Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa wrote commentary on Brahma Sutra, Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta Sutra. His Vedanta Sutra commentary is known as Govinda Bhashya, commentary of Govinda. The history is that this Gaudiya Sampradaya did not write any commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, because according to our Sampradaya, we accept the Srimad Bhagavatam as the commentary of Vedanta Sutra. Bhashyoyam Brahma Sutranam. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 25:143. Lord Chaitanya has recommended, it is stated in the Srimad, that this Srimad Bhagavatam is the real commentary of Vedanta Sutra. Vyasadeva is the writer of the philosophy. Vedanta Sutra, and he personally, under the instruction of his spiritual master, Narada, personally wrote this commentary. Srimad Bhagavatam on his own book, on his own philosophy, Vedanta Sutra. If the author himself writes some commentary, that is the perfect, because he knows what is what. Therefore, because the Srimad Bhagavatam is there, the Gaudiya Vaishnava, they did not attempt to write another separate commentary on the Brahma Sutra. Any intelligent man can understand that the Srimad Bhagavatam is commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. The Vedanta Sutra begin with Janmadyasya, Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1, Atato Brahma Jignasa. And Bhagavad says, Jivasya Tattva Jignasa, Srimad Bhagavatam 1:2:10. Brahma Jignasa and Tattva Jignasa is the same thing. The human life is meant for inquiring for the absolute. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is there. And the next question in the Vedanta Sutra is Janmadyasya Yataha. This Gaudiya Sampradaya did not take unnecessary trouble again. The Acharya's Sampradaya. If any previous Acharya has written something, so he will not touch those points, but he will write something which can develop further. That is Acharya, not that chewing the chewed. Somebody has written something and is also writing the same thing. No. If he at all writes, he will write something which will beautify or glorify or magnify the former idea. That is the next page. So this Vaishnava Sampradaya did not write commentary on the Vedanta Sutra because they knew that already Vyasadeva, our original guru, he has already written Srimad Bhagavatam. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended, and it is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhashyoham Brahmasutranam, Madhya Lila, chapter 25, text 143. This is the real commentary on the Brahma Sutra. But those who are Smata Brahmanas, they objected in Jaipur. In the Jaipur, there's Govinda Seva temple of Govindaji. The king of Jaipur took away when Aurangzeb was harassing Hindus, and he was breaking some of the Hindu temple. At that time from Vrindavana, the Govinda Murti, not only Govinda, Gopinath, Madan Mohan, these murtis were taken from Vrindavana to Jaipur. The king of Jaipur, he was Vaishnava. So along with the deity, the priest or the worshiper, I mean to say those who were engaged in the temple worship, they were also taken. That is the system. So they were, as usual, worshiping, but some of the smarter Brahmanas, they objected that Gaudiya Sampradaya is not bona fide. Why not bona fide? Just like Dr. Stahl objected that this Krishna Consciousness movement is not Vedic. Therefore, I immediately protested. No, it is 100% Vedic. So when the smarter Brahmins, they objected that this Gaudiya Sampradaya is not Vedic. How one is Vedic? Any Sampradaya, if you inaugurate some party, then you must comment on the Vedanta Sutra. Otherwise, that party is not bona fide. That is Vedic rules. One must understand what is Brahma Sutra. So, because there was no particular commentary on the Brahma Sutra by the Gaudiya Sampradaya on account of presence of Srimad Bhagavatam, so they objected. So this information at that time was given at that time to Vrindavana. Vishwanath Chakravarti, you have heard the name of Vishwanath Chakravarti. He is also Acharya and vastly great scholar. So all the Vaishnavas requested him that please write a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. Otherwise, they're objecting that we are not Vedic. At that time, he was very old, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So he thought it wise. He asked this Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa, who he happened to be just like his disciple, that I am very old now. I cannot go out of Vrindavana. So you take up this job and write one commentary on the Vedanta Sutra immediately. So he took up the matter. He has written many other books. Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa. So he immediately started for Jaipur, Govindaji's temple. And that is the Acharya, that unless I am authorized, unless I'm in power, how I can write. This is Vaishnava. Not that because I've got some ABCD knowledge, I can write something. No. Just like one civil service officer, Mr. Gupta, sent me one commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. Perhaps you know, we have delivered that, returned that panacea. So I immediately pointed out there are so many discrepancies, we cannot publish this. So they have taken back. So he thought that because he's ICS officer, civil service officer, very big officer in India, therefore he can write commentary on Bhagavad Gita. Or these nonsense things are going on. Anyone who has got some ABCD knowledge, he thinks that I can write something. No, you cannot write anything unless you are authorized by the disciplic succession. You have no access in it. So this Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa went to, Jaipur, and for 3 days continuously he laid himself flat, just like we offer obeisances in that way, without taking any food and water, asking permission from Govinda, whether I shall write. Of course, he was ordered, but still to confirm it, that Vishwanath Chakravarti has asked me to write, but if you confirm it, then I shall begin writing. So Govindaji informed them, yes, you write, I give you order. I immediately write. So he began to write this Bhashya, commentary on Vedanta Sutra, and it came out very, very successful. Govinda Bhashya commentary on Vedanta Sutra is available. This is in Sanskrit, but we are describing the same conclusion in our different books. In Śrīmad Bhagavatam, also the same conclusion is there. You don't require to read separately, but because the Smarta Brahmanas challenge that you are not Vedic because you have no commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. So this Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa gave us this Govinda Bhashya, the Govinda Bhashya. Of course, other Vaishnavacharyas like Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, they have given commentary on Bhagavad Gita. But we, Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, we are benedicted by this Baladeva Acharya Prabhu. So his life is that he appeared in a family of a Vaishya community. His forefathers were agriculturists, but he became a great devotee and great scholar in Sanskrit. And he's got his commentaries on Bhagavad Gita and Vedanta Bhashya. He has written many other books, all in Sanskrit. So his birthday appearance day is today. So it is our duty to commemorate the activities of the Acharyas and offer our respect and ask from them benediction for our progress. That is the system. Therefore, we have listed the appearance and disappearance of the Acharyas. We should take advantage of these auspicious dates and offer our respects to the Acharyas. So very, very important contribution from Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa. So next there is this is from a lecture in Bombay on September 30th, 1973. Prabhupada explains, but sometimes back in Jaipur, there was a challenge that the Gaudiya Sampradaya has no commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. So at that time, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was requested because he was grand old man scholar at that time living in Vrindavana. She was very old at that time, so he authorized Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa that you do it. There was no need, but people are demanding, where's your commentary on the Vedanta Sutra? So Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa, with the order of Govinda at Jaipur, he wrote the commentary on Brahma Sutra. The name is Govinda Bhashya. So the Gaudiya Brahma Sampradaya, they have got also commentary on Brahma Sutra that is required. Prabhupada in various lectures has written the same points in so many ways. And what I will do at this point is we will start reading. There's a section here, if you go further down, Ram Raghava Prabhu, called Sri Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa explained the Suvarna Varna Hemango citation to establish Lord Chaitanya as the Yuga avatar. A little further down. Here we go, further down. Suvarna Varna Hemango Varangas Chandanangadi Sannyasa Kritchama Shanto Nishta Shanti Parayanaha. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. In his early pastimes, he appears as a householder with a golden complexion. His limbs are beautiful, and his body, smeared with the pulp of sandalwood, seems like molten gold. In his later pastimes, he accepted the sannyas order and is equipoised and peaceful. He is the highest abode of peace and devotion, for he silences the impersonalist non-devotees. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is a verse from the Mahabharata Dana Dharma, Vishnu Sahasranama Stotra. In his commentary on the Vishnu Sahasranama, called the Namarta Shuddha, Sri Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa, commenting upon this verse, asserts that Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead according to the evidence of the Upanishads. He explained that Suvarna Varnaha means a golden complexion. He also quotes the Vedic injunction, Yada Pasya Pasyati Rukma Varnam Kartaram Isham Purusham Brahma Yonim, Mundaka Upanishad 3.1.3. Rukma Varnam Kartaram Isham refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead as having a complexion the color of molten gold. Purusham means the Supreme Lord, and Brahma Yonim indicates that he is also the Supreme Brahman. This evidence too proves that Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna. Another meaning of the description of the Lord as having a golden hue is that Lord Chaitanya's personality is as fascinating as gold, is attractive. Sri Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa has explained that the word varanga means exquisitely beautiful. Lord Chaitanya accepted sannyas, leaving aside his householder life to preach his mission. He has equanimity in different senses. First, he described the confidential truth, further down, of the personality of Godhead. And second, he satisfies by knowledge and attachment to Krishna. He is peaceful because he renounces all topics not related to the service of Krishna. Srila Baladeva Vidyābhūṣaṇa has explained that the word Nishta indicates he is being rigidly fixed in chanting the holy name of Sri Krishna. Lord Chaitanya subdued all disturbing opponents of devotional service, especially the monists who are actually averse to the personal feature of the Supreme Lord. The foregoing was from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila 349. So at this point, we will start reading from a little compilation that was done actually by Narasimha Prabhu, who is currently in Hawaii. And this compilation is called Acharya for the Golden Age, the unique historical position of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. There's a little booklet that has been published, and I've already sent you the text. I will start reading some of the quotation. Most of this explains Srila Prabhupada's position as a Nitya Siddha, eternally liberated soul. Introduction. In this booklet, we try to help glorify and illuminate the exalted position of Srila Prabhupada, who is the spiritual master and savior of the whole world. For this age, we are just the messengers for this truth. As a pure devotee of the highest order, Śrīla Prabhupada was and is self-effulgent. This means that ordinary people in all walks of life who met him were able to appreciate this means that even ordinary people in all walks of life who met him were able to appreciate to some extent his glorious qualities. Even those who never met him and have been able to understand his exalted status simply from hearing about him, hearing his recordings, meeting his disciples, witnessing his influence, and reading his books. Millions of people experience how hearing from him or even just seeing him quickly transform their lives. The best source of information regarding the exalted position of Krishna's pure devotee is from other pure devotees and self-realized souls. This is explained below. Text number 3, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 13, Text 3. O best of the virtuous, the original king of kings, Manu, was a great devotee of the personality of Godhead Hari, and thus it is worth hearing of his sublime character and activities. Please describe them. I'm very eager to hear. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Srimad Bhagavatam is full of the transcendental topics of the personality of Godhead and his pure devotees. In the absolute world, there is no difference in quality between the Supreme Lord and his pure devotee. Therefore, hearing the topics of the Lord and hearing of the character and activities of the pure devotee have the same result, namely the development of devotional service. Text 4. Persons who engage in hearing from a spiritual master with great labor and for a long time must hear from the mouths of pure devotees about the character and activities of pure devotees. Pure devotees always think within their hearts of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, who awards liberation to his devotees. From Srimad Bhagavatam 3:13-4. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Transcendental students are those who undergo great penance in being trained by hearing the Vedas from a bona fide spiritual master. Not only must they hear about the activities of the Lord, but they must also hear about the transcendental qualities of the devotees who are constantly thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord within their hearts. A pure devotee of the Lord cannot be separated from the lotus feet of the Lord for even a moment. Undoubtedly, the Lord is always within the hearts of all living creatures, but they hardly know about it because they are deluded by the illusory material energy. The devotees, however, have realized the presence of the Lord, and therefore they can always see the lotus feet of the Lord within their hearts. Such pure devotees of the Lord are as glorious as the Lord. They are, in fact, recommended by the Lord as more worshipable than he himself. Worship of the devotee is more potent than worship of the Lord. It is therefore the duty of the transcendental students to hear of pure devotees, as explained by similar devotees of the Lord, because one cannot explain about the Lord or his devotee unless he happens to be a pure devotee himself. Without claiming to be topmost devotees ourselves, we cite the authority and predictions of great teachers and avatars that point to Srila Prabhupada and his unique activities. Srila Prabhupada's unique legacy was the fact that he single-handedly revived, protected, and expanded the mission of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya, the incarnation of Krishna for this age. When he began his mission, no other pure devotees were there to assist, support, or acknowledge him. He did everything himself by transforming and engaging ordinary fallen conditioned souls whom he trained as disciples, preachers, and devotees. although Srila Prabhupada always presented himself as a humble messenger and was universally appreciated as a humble, pious, and unassuming man. He has no choice but to himself humbly allude to several historical predictions regarding his own life and mission. He further introduced practices and prayers designed to help his neophyte followers understand the position of the pure devotee, the bona fide spiritual master, and the empowered servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Through extensive scriptural research based on hints or directions offered by Srila Prabhupada himself, his disciples have found numerous predictions from well-known scriptures and exalted spiritual teachers that illuminate Srila Prabhupada's position as the real spiritual master of the whole world for this age. Note, Srila Prabhupada is formally known throughout the world as His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. Unless otherwise mentioned, all books quoted here are from Srila Prabhupada's authorized original editions known as AOE. All conversation, classes, purports, and lectures cited here are Srila Prabhupada's. Section 1, the position of eternally perfect devotees. Section 2, scriptural predictions regarding Srila Prabhupada and his activities. Section 3, symptoms, characters, and activities of Srila Prabhupada and great devotees. As with the main incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srila Prabhupada's position as an empowered servant of the Lord can be understood and confirmed in at least 4 ways. 1, spiritual or scriptural predictions. 2, special activities and symptoms. 3, testimonies and statements of realized devotees. 4, accomplishments that surpass all others and fulfill numerous spiritual predictions. Summary description of sections. Section 1, the position of eternally perfect devotees. Srila Prabhupada explains why the Acharya, liberated teacher, is so powerful. So either Krishna or his representative who come on this planet or in this world just to show the example how you should live, how you should utilize your human form of life, they have nothing to gain. They are complete. Those who are coming from spiritual kingdom or kingdom of, they have no want. They haven't got to do anything. They're all, further down, please. Perfect. This was from a lecture from Srila Prabhupada in Los Angeles, California on December 30th, 1968. Krishna sends his associates or acharyas to reclaim the conditioned souls. Therefore, the Lord descends to reclaim all of these fallen conditioned souls, to call them back to the Sanatana, eternal sky, so that the Sanatana living entities may regain their eternal Sanatana positions in eternal association with the Lord. The Lord comes himself in different incarnations, or he sends his confidential servants as sons or associates or acharyas to reclaim the conditioned souls. This was from Bhagavad Gita as it is, introduction, authorized original edition. The Lord sends his bona fide representatives. Therefore, each and every avatar or incarnation of the Lord has a particular mission, and they're all described in the revealed scriptures. No one should be accepted as an avatar unless he's referred to by scriptures. It is not a fact that the Lord appears only on Indian soil. He can advent himself anywhere and everywhere, and whenever he desires to appear. In each and every incarnation, he speaks as much about religion as can be understood by the particular people under their particular circumstances. But the mission is the same, to lead people to God consciousness and obeisances obedience to the principles of religion. Further down, please. Further down, please. Sometimes he descends personally up. Move the page up. Sometimes he descends personally, and sometimes he sends his bona fide representative in the form of his son or servant or himself in some disguised form. This was from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 7. Bhagavad Gita as it is, AOE. So when there is satanic influence over the kingdom of God, or the devotees, or the appointed demigod, they are disturbed by satanic influence, then Krishna comes. That is stated, confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanama dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Bhagavad Gita 4:7. Whenever there is discrepancy in the discharge of natural laws of God, then God incarnates. Either he incarnates himself, or he sends his bona fide representative, or he sends his powerful representative. This was from a lecture on Chaitanya Charitamrita in New York, USA, Madhya Lila, 2154-157, on December 7th, 1966. Ishan Prabhu, maybe you'd like to make a few comments about this topic of Prabhupada as a Nitya Siddha.
Hare Krishna. This, what we've been reading is so perfectly, so beautifully done. I feel reluctant to speak further, but it's very, very important that we understand Srila Prabhupada's position as his students. If we want to make progress in our spiritual life, even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4:34 that we should find and approach a self-realized spiritual master. The realized spiritual master, he can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. We have to know who Srila Prabhupada is in order to go forward, because he holds the key between us, the key to the door between us and Krishna. And how so therefore, Srila Prabhupada sometimes uses the word intimate in discussing our relationship with a spiritual master, that we have to have an intimate relationship with him. Why? And so there are two different modes of approach. One is, as Srila Prabhupada explains, I always go back to this purport, there's two kinds of spiritual masters. One is giving objective instruction, and the other is giving subjective instruction. Subjective instruction, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila 147 purport. And objective instruction, subjective instruction, Srila Prabhupada writes, is given by what kind of personality? He says subjective instruction is given by a spiritual master who is absorbed completely in devotional meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Subjective means feeling. Objective means conceptual. But he's giving subjective instruction means he's sharing his devotional feeling with us. This is why we're reading today, and that the spiritual master has to be Nitya Siddha. Nitya Siddha is explained by Śrīla Prabhupada. They never come in touch with the material energy. Although they enter this world, sometimes Śrīla Prabhupada says that when the governor of the state goes into the jail, we should not make the mistake and think that he's one of us prisoners. So Śrīla Prabhupada, he's not one of us. He's not a conditioned soul. Although he appears and as Acharya means that he acts in a way to give an example how we should follow. So he doesn't display. There are different quotes where Śrīla Prabhupada says his opulence is on the level of Krishna himself. That the eightfold mystic powers of the great yogis is insignificant compared to the power of the pure devotee. So what is his gift? That Lord Chaitanya, how did he teach this Krishna consciousness, is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He said, Krishna is giving a monologue therein, and he's saying, people are worshiping me with awe and veneration, but actually I'm paraphrasing, this is not very attractive to me. I want to distribute these Vrindavan feelings of love to the world. I want to do, and the only way I can do it, I'm going to teach it by experiencing these things myself in the presence of the conditioned souls of the material world. So Śrīla Prabhupada, then it is explained in that same Charitamrita that Lord Chaitanya, he enters the body, he enters the heart of his personal associates, so they become like replicas, holding this devotion of Lord Chaitanya within their heart and distributing, and that this taste of love of Krishna is coming down to us through the disciplic succession. There's one purport, and there was where Srila Prabhupada raises the question. They could hear the ecstatic chanting of Lord Chaitanya when he was here, but that was 500 years ago. What about us? So Srila Prabhupada writes therein in Chaitanya, one can hear the chanting of Lord Chaitanya through the disciplic succession. Hearing Srila Prabhupada's sound vibration is not different from hearing Lord Chaitanya's sound vibration. So therefore, we have to, hearing, submissive oral reception, to imbibe within our hearts his taste of love of Krishna. It's all there in his sound vibration. And therefore, it is explained in teachings of Lord Chaitanya, chapter 18, that, quote, the process is that the bona fide spiritual master chants the mantra, and it enters the ear of the disciple. And if the disciple begins to chant with the same feeling, this becomes the worship of the holy name. This is how we chant the Hare Krishna. This, Srila Prabhupada says repeatedly, not simply chanting like a robot mechanically or like a parrot, he says, and there's stories about that, but to chant, this is beginning to engage in devotional service under the guidance of a pure devotee. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada calls it an apprenticeship program. We can get the knowledge from books in schools. We can get all kinds of knowledge, but then after graduating, he becomes the medical student, wants to be a surgeon. He cannot be a surgeon, although he's graduated. He has to be an intern to work under someone who is in the hospital, who is who knows how to do surgery. What is he getting different? that he has not got from the book. It is the feeling with which the work is done. In this way, we have to become apprentice devotees to Lord Krishna's Nitya Siddha devotee who's coming from the spiritual world, simply to share this with us and to understand again and again that and there are the Sanskrit quotes, that a hellish condition to think of him as an ordinary human being, to think of him like he's one of us, instead of understanding that his only business here is for sharing this feeling of love of Krishna. Nitya Siddha. I think that's enough, Hare Krishna.
Well, these are very important points.
Your sound is off.
All right. Okay, here we go. My apologies. These are very important points you've raised, because in discussion with different devotees in the past and seeing sometimes how different devotees approach Krishna consciousness from different perspectives, but the major perspective is how to understand who is the Acharya, who is the Sampradaya Acharya, who is the authorized teacher, worldwide teacher of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada has written so many books. His accomplishments are well known. It is not that this person forced himself. He was predicted. He was predicted that he would come and establish the mission. I mean, there are conversations that we'll read later on, how Bhaktivedanta Thakur, 1896, this is the year of Prabhupada's birth. Bhaktivedanta Thakur sent the first book about Lord Chaitanya's teachings to McGill University in Montreal, because he wanted to start the preaching of Krishna consciousness worldwide. At that time, Bhaktivedanta Thakur was in Calcutta in India. Prabhupada was born. And there is one conversation in the Prabhupada conversation book where Prabhupada explains basically that he was predicted, and Prabhupada says, some people say I'm the same man. Of course, Prabhupada one time said in Boston, it's offensive to think the spiritual master just as a man. He's not just a man, he's a superman. He is a transcendently empowered personality to deliver the message of Krishna, just like the acharyas, like Narottam Das Thakur, Bhaktivedanta Thakur, and so many of our acharyas. They've written many songs to help us practice Krishna consciousness and remember who we are dealing with. And one of these songs is Vaishnava Thakur Tomara Kukur Janiya Baliya Mori, how we should approach dealing with the personality of the empowered acharya. That we should think that, my dear Vaishnava Thakur, I simply wish to become your dog. Prabhupada in one lecture says the qualification of the dog is that he is very faithful. So as disciples, we must be faithful. And the first point of being faithful, he understand the great personality that we are dealing with, that we are hearing from. He is not just a regular devotee who became advanced. No, he was a Nitya Siddha. He is a Nitya Siddha, eternally liberated soul. There's a letter that Prabhupada wrote to one disciple in 1969, where he was asking about Srila Prabhupada's position. And Prabhupada, at the end of the letter, if there is not any time in my life, I'm paraphrasing here, where I ever forgot Krishna, although I had plenty of opportunities to engage in sinful activities, I never engaged in any sinful activity my whole life. So this is the exalted position of Prabhupada. Now, one disciple one time objected, well, how can Prabhupada be a Nitya Siddha? He said in one letter that in my last life, some astrologer said I was a physician. Well, Krishna can send a Nitya Siddha for 2 or 3 births in a row if he wants. He's not limited. Krishna is not limited. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not limited. And Krishna's empowered representative is not limited. It doesn't matter what he was. But Prabhupada said in that same letter, and I led a sinless life. It doesn't matter if he was a physician or what he was. The fact is, in this life, he was the super empowered representative of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who fulfilled Lord Chaitanya's prediction. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born in 1486 AD. And then Prabhupada came to America in 1965. That's a couple hundred years. No other Acharya brought the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in its pure form to the Western countries. He was requested by his Guru Maharaj to do that. He was requested to write in English language. He did that. And he successfully and very, very nicely presented Krishna consciousness. Now, I know it's very popular for some people to claim that Prabhupada just taught the basic fundamentals, and some other persons, they taught the higher understanding, the higher teachings. And I say to whoever is thinking like that, this is simply nonsense, offensive nonsense. The other day, we had a reading of Chaitanya Charitamrita in Madhya Lila, chapter 18, and there was a section where Srila Prabhupada was describing the different rasas with Krishna, and a very detailed description of how these rasas, a devotee can engage in these different rasas, can gradually purify his heart and elevate himself from the neophyte stage to the point of reaching his eventual rasa relationship with Krishna. It's all detailed there. Therefore, we can see that anyone who makes these kind of statements, we can conclude they've not carefully read or studied Prabhupada's teachings. Otherwise, they would not make such a nonsense statement. I'm wondering what you think of that, Prabhu, Ishan Prabhu. Your audio.
Yes, audio. Only basic principles. The basic principle is one, that unless one can imbibe the taste of devotion from the sound vibration of a pure devotee, no one can go back home, back to Godhead. It's within that sound vibration, all of the love of Krishna that we will ever learn about it's in there. So someone else may have book knowledge and talk about, so much about higher rasas and things of that nature, but they have no love of Krishna to share with their disciples, so their whole talk about higher principles is useless. I can't give an example, thinking about it, a metaphor, but so Srila Prabhupada, not that he's only giving the highest principle, he is the highest principle. He is the highest teaching personified. He is love of Krishna, and only he has the ability to share this love of Krishna. So there's no question of Srila Prabhupada. Again, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu was saying about Srila Prabhupada's qualification when he was in Mumbai and in different ways was giving assistance, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's students were saying, oh, he should come and he should be the manager of the temple, he should be the president like that. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, you never mind, I'm paraphrasing also, never mind. He is better he remain apart from all of you. When the time comes, he will do everything. So what has Srila Prabhupada, that Lord Chaitanya's mission is to introduce the Yuga Dharma to the whole planet. And that's Lord, and so who did Lord Chaitanya choose as his representative to do this? Śrīla Prabhupada is Lord Chaitanya's most personal, intimate associate, empowered to spread Lord Chaitanya's movement to the whole planet. So we say ambassador. In the government service, the ambassador goes to another country. He's given all the respect that is due to the prime minister or the president. Śrīla Prabhupada is Lord Chaitanya's ambassador. We are a real ambassador, giving the real message, the real substance of what Lord Chaitanya, that no one else can give. We give him all the honor that we would give to Lord Chaitanya himself. And then, if we do that, then we become qualified that he will share with us that knowledge. That is offering freely. As Srila Prabhupada writes, the teacher has to be qualified, Nectar of Devotion, chapter 12, and the student has to be qualified. And if we, to be qualified means approach, inquire from him submissively, and render service under his guidance, the self-realized soul, he can impart this knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So this Hare Krishna. So we should understand, we have to understand who Srila Prabhupada is before we can begin this journey of Krishna consciousness, really begin. It's all based on understanding who Srila Prabhupada is.
Very nice. Ram Raghavan Prabhu, we can proceed with Jai Radhamadava in our reading of the Srimad Bhagavatam verses.
Okay, Prabhu.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yaśodā-nandana Dāsa. Yaśodā-nandana Dāsa.
Jai Nitilila Pravishtam Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrajaka-Acārya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda Ki Jai.
Jayam Swaparam Vidyābhūṣaṇa Sadasyaman Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki Jai. Namācārya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Śrīvāsādi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridham ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Navadvip Dham ki Jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. Ganga Mai ki Jai. Jamuna Mai ki Jai. Tulasi Devi ki Jai. Bhakti Devi ki Jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. From Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya. Narayanam namaskritya. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jayam Udirayet. Tato Jayam Udirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Nara-Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Śrīla Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1-4. Let us proceed with a reading of selected verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 8, text number 17-18. Brahmatejo vinir mukteratmajeh saha Krishnaya prayana abhimukham Krishnam idamaha pritasati. Brahmatejo, radiation of the Brahmastra, vinir mukter, being saved from, atmajay, along with sons, saha, with, Krishnaya, Draupadi, prayana, outgoing, abhimukham, towards, Krishnam, unto Lord Krishna, aha, said, Prita, Kunti, Sati, chaste devotee of the Lord. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. When thus saved from the radiation of the Brahmastra, Kunti, the chaste devotee of the Lord, along with her 5 sons, and Draupadi, addressed Lord Krishna when he was just on his way towards home. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Kunti is described herein as the sati or chaste due to her unalloyed devotion to Lord Sri Krishna. Her mind will just now be expressed in the following prayers of her for Lord Krishna. A chaste devotee of the Lord does not look to others, namely any other living being or demigods, even for being delivered from any danger. That was all along the characteristics of the whole family of the Pandavas. They knew nothing except Krishna, and therefore the Lord was also always ready to help them in all respects and in all circumstances. That is the transcendental nature of the Lord. He reciprocates the dependence of the devotee upon him. One should not therefore look for help from imperfect living beings or demigods, but one should look for all help from Lord Krishna, who is competent enough to save his devotees. Such chaste devotee also never asks the Lord for help, but the Lord, out of his own accord, is always anxious to render help to such chaste devotees. Text number 18. Sri Kunti uvacha namasye purusham tvadhyam ishvaram prakrite param alaksyam sarvabhutanam mantarbhairavastitam. Sri Kunti uvacha. Srimati Kunti said, Namaste, let me bow down, Purusham, the Supreme Person, to although Adyam, the original, Ishwaram, the controller, Prakrite, of the material cosmos, Para, beyond, Alaksham, invisible, Sarva, all, Bhutanam, of living beings, Antar, within, Bahir, without, Avastitam, existing. Translation by Śrīla Prabhupāda. Srimati Kunti said, O Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you because you are the original personality and are unaffected by the qualities of material world. You are existing both within and without of everything, and still you are invisible to all, for all. Purport by His Divine Grace. Srimati Kunti Devi was quite aware of it, that Krishna was the original personality of Godhead, although he was playing the part of her nephew. Such an enlightened lady could not commit mistake by offering obeisances unto her nephew. Therefore, she addressed him as the original Purusha, beyond the material cosmos. Although all living entities are also transcendental, yet they're not original, neither they're infallible. The living entities are apt to fall down under the clutches of material nature, but the Lord is never like that. In the Vedas, therefore, he is described as the chief amongst all living entities, Nityo Nityanam Chaitana. Then again, he is addressed as Ishvara, or the controller. The living entities or the demigods like Indra, Chandra, Surya, etc., they're also to the same extent Ishvara, but none of them is the supreme Ishvara or ultimate controller. As such is the Parameshvara, or the super soul. He is both within and without also. Although he was present before Srimati Kunti as her nephew, he was also within her and everyone else. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Bhagavad Gita 15:15, I'm situated in everyone's heart, and due to me only one remembers, forgets, and is cognizant, etc. Through all the Vedas, I am to be known because I'm the compiler of the Vedas, and I'm the teacher of the Vedanta. Queen Kunti affirms it that the Lord, although is both within and without of all living beings, is still invisible. The Lord is, so to say, a puzzle for the common man. Queen Kunti experienced it personally that Lord Krishna was present before her, and yet he entered within the womb of Uttara to save her embryo from the attack of Brahmastra by Ashwatthama. Kunti herself was puzzled whether Sri Krishna is all-pervasive or localized. But in fact, he is both. But he reserved the right of not being exposed to persons who are not surrendered souls. This checking curtain is called Maya energy of the Supreme Lord, which controls the limited vision of the rebel soul. It is explained as follows. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnanan Janashalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namaha. Namo. I think we have some echo somewhere. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasme Sigurave Namah Bhagavad Vandana Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadati Visheshataha Adadana Danter Idam Yache Punaha Punaham Srimaduru Papadam Bhoja Dhulisyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatosmyaham Sadadaso Asmi Sarvata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Sat Karomishvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So a lot of points are being raised in this particular section of Srimad Bhagavatam. It seems that the section where Ashwatthama tried to kill the pregnancy of Uttara, the wife of Abhimanyu, that particular section is over, and we have read in many places how Srila Prabhupada explained that she was fully protected by Lord Krishna. We do know from Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has explained in many places that he protects his devotees. Name bhakta pranasyati, that declare to the whole world, Arjuna, that my devotee will never perish. We have seen in the Mahabharata and on Bhagavatam also that Bhishma Dev wanted to make arrangements because he was fighting for Duryodhana, for the Kurus, against the Pandavas. So Duryodhana tried to incite Bhishma to kill Arjuna. So what happened basically is that Krishna very intelligently made a point that because Krishna had promised in the Mahabharata that he was not going to take any side in the battle. He was not going to fight personally in the battle. Krishna is so powerful with just his Sudarshan Chakra, he could have devastated everybody in just very simply. But he wanted the whole situation to unfold, just like we heard from Bhagavad Gita, that Lord Krishna told Arjuna that their fate has already been decided. Just become an instrument. Nimitta matram bhavasavya sachin. Just remain an instrument to accomplish this. So in the Mahabharata, Bhishma Dev had taken the vow that tomorrow I will kill Arjuna. So Krishna will either have to break his vow not to participate in the battle, or his devotee will perish. So during the battle, at one point, there was an incident where Bhishma Dev was attacking Arjuna. And Krishna did not like the way in which Bhishma had done this. So Krishna took the wheel of a chariot and was coming to kill Bhishma. And Bhishma had thrown arrows at Lord Krishna had thrown arrows at the body of Krishna. But Krishna decided that to protect his devotee was more important than mundane morality. The point being that Krishna protects the devotees. This is a very important point. There was a very interesting incident in Vrindavan in 1972. In October, we were in Prabhupada's room, and Srila Prabhupada all of a sudden described that I was praying to Lord Nrsingadev to kill Mr. Nair. And we were surprised. We say, what is that, Prabhupada? Because Mr. Nair was the individual in Bombay who had sold land to Prabhupada and tried to cheat Prabhupada. He took a deposit to Prabhupada and then entered into another contract with somebody else. He had done this before. And Prabhupada was saying to us, he says, I was praying to Lord Nrsimha to kill him. He says, ordinarily, we do not do this. We don't pray to Lord Nrsimha to kill him. But in this case, because he tried to cheat Krishna, I prayed to Lord Nrsimha, and Prabhupada was smiling. Then Prabhupada says, but you do not do that. So it's very important that Prabhupada, of course, as an empowered Acharya, can do things which are sometimes quite extraordinary, very uncommon, very uncommon. Just like recently, the devotee asked me, well, do you have any stories about Prabhupada? I said, well, there's some stories. I said, but the ultimate story is, are you willing to hear his message, his teaching? Because in Toronto in 1975, on a morning walk, one Indian gentleman asked Srila Prabhupada, oh, Prabhupada, we want to associate with you personally, this whole physical point. Prabhupada, yes, that is all right. But if you want to understand me, read my books. Why did Prabhupada every day would stay up all night and write these books? Why? These books were not meant to be obsolete or irrelevant when he would depart. They were meant to be the guidance for the next 10,000 years or 9,500 years. And anybody can take advantage. And we see in these purports, Prabhupada deals with so many points. It's like today we're touching upon this point about protection of his devotees. There are so many instances, just like we all heard the story of the Draupadi in the Mahabharata, the 5 Pandavas had been challenged to a game of dice. Kshatriyas, they used to sometimes gamble, they would play dice, and they would wage. So they had lost their kingdom, they had lost their weapons, so then they were challenged to wage their wife. So Draupadi was their wife. And Maharaj Yudhishthira lost the wager. So Karna and Dushasana, they tried to grab Draupadi to basically remove her garments. And it's a famous story in the Mahabharata that Lord Krishna supplied her unlimited sari. And in the Hari Bhakti Vilas of Sanatana Goswami and Gopal Bhatta Goswami, there's a nice prayer that Vaishnavas are advised to recite when they finish their worship, their morning worship. It is a request for Lord Krishna to forgive any offenses that may have been committed. It's one of the prayers, and it goes like this. Pratinyatava Govinda nami bhakta pranasyati. Draupadi said to Krishna that you have promised. That says your solemn promise, your vow. Pratinya in Sanskrit means vow. Nami bhakta pranasyati, that your devotee will never perish. Iti samsmritya samsritya, by remembering this again and again, pranam sundarayam, I maintain my life. This is a very sweet devotional offering. And Krishna did protect her, completely protected her. And there's been so many. We all know the story of Haridas Thakur. Actually, there was a conversation I was reading recently. Then when Haridas Thakur was being taken to all these 22 marketplaces and being flogged in the back, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was standing on his back protecting him. He had the special mercy and protection of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Take the life of Srila Prabhupada. I mean, we all heard how in 1965, when he moved from Butler, Pennsylvania to New York, he was living and he ended up in the Bowery, the Wino district in New York, which is a very, anybody who knows anything about New York knows, especially at that time, it was not a good place to live. But Prabhupada was completely transcendental, completely protected by Krishna. Why? Because that was Krishna's desire, that his empowered pure devotee would establish the Krishna consciousness movement to benefit anyone. We have all heard the story how some devotees went to Srila Prabhupada, one particular leader, and he asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, why don't you translate your books faster? There's so much nectar, would like to hear more of your books. And Prabhupada says, you do not understand. These books are not ABCD translations. They are the result of my devotional ecstasies. Another time they asked Srila Prabhupada, how have you written these books? And Prabhupada said, I did not write these books. Krishna wrote these books. I'm just the instrument. We have all seen the picture. There's a picture where Prabhupada was on the boat and Lord Krishna is massaging Prabhupada's head. There's another picture on the boat where the 10 avatars are rowing the Jaladuta to bring the boat to America. Because Krishna was empowering Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada had done this super work in India, preparing himself. He was always prepared, but he showed us by example. He wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam. He was living at the special temple there near Keshi Ghat. Eventually, he moved to Radha Damodar Temple. He translated the first canto of Bhagavatam. He used to go to Delhi, present the books to different universities, different libraries. Eventually made arrangements to come to America. Everything was arranged by Krishna. He had complete protection of Krishna. Well, somebody may say, well, that was Prabhupada. What about us? Well, the same applies to the devotee. Here, somebody got that prayer. Very nice. Here's the prayer. O Govinda, your promise is that your devotee will never perish. By remembering this over and over again, I'm able to retain my life heirs. Very sweet. Very sweet. So the point being is in the life of Srila Prabhupada, we see so many examples how Krishna protected him. I've often told the story. One morning on a morning walk in Vrindavan near Keshi Ghat. In Vrindavan, there's a lot of wild dogs. They're not like in America, domesticated dogs that are pampered and they take him to the vet over here and give him special food and take him on walk. These dogs, they're not like that in Vrindavan. They're on the street, they fight, they bite, and they will bite you if you get too close to them. You got to be careful. So we're on this morning walk. There was Guru Kripa and a couple of other devotees, and this rabid dog is starting to run towards Srila Prabhupada barking. And we're getting ready to try to kick the dog so he would not come to bite Srila Prabhupada. And all of a sudden, the dog is about 3 or 4 feet from Prabhupada. Prabhupada put his cage. He says, hut, hut. And the dog totally, completely stopped. He literally bowed down and then ran away. Now, Krishna is also in the heart of that dog. You can tell him, don't do that. You go back. So there's many different transcendental pastimes of Srila Prabhupada being protected. There was a very interesting event in Vrindavan. Along that same path, one morning, we're walking and there's an old Babaji. He had white cloth and a white chadar, a little beard and nice tilak. And all of a sudden, he comes near Prabhupada and Prabhupada lunges forward and embraces him. And we're looking at this like, what is going on? Who is this person? Who is he to be embraced by Srila Prabhupada? Because we're in the mood of disciples, being subservient, being basically his disciples. And Prabhupada is embracing this person. And Prabhupada started talking to him in Hindi. And they were talking about Keshi Ghat, mentioning Keshi Ghat. And then when this person left, Prabhupada explained, this is the devotee who arranged to have him live in the Keshi Ghat, because Prabhupada, before Radha Damodar, was living in a big house on the top floor near Keshi Ghat, and he had the whole view of the Yamuna. And Prabhupada said, this is the Vaishnava who helped me get that place and that arrangement. And Prabhupada was just very, very happy to see him. So, I mean, Krishna can make whatever arrangement he wants to protect his pure devotee and his mission. Just like we all heard the story of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj, as a young boy, he was tortured by his father. They tried to kill him. They tried to put poison. They put him in jail with snakes. They threw Prahlad, Hiranyakashipu threw Prahlad off of a cliff. And every time Krishna protected him. Every time Lord Krishna protected him. So there are many instances in Vaishnava literature of great devotees protected by Krishna. Prabhupada was always protected by Krishna. But it's very important for us to understand why we're starting this series of discussion about Prabhupada as a Nitya Siddha. Because sometimes devotees have misunderstanding. They will raise the issue, well, Prabhupada was a pure devotee, and a pure devotee is always protected by Krishna. And how can this happen? How can that happen? What? Well, Prabhupada is the pure devotee is always protected by Krishna, whether it's Haridas Thakur, Jesus Christ, or any devotee, any pure devotee. But that doesn't stop envious people from trying to harm them, or less intelligent persons to try to harm them. There are many instances of there. During the lifetime of Ramanuja, his own teacher in Mayavadi at that time tried to get him killed. Madhvacharya was harassed and persecuted by many persons. There's many histories in the Vaishnava literatures of great Vaishnavas being harassed and persecuted. As a matter of fact, there is a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto that sometimes devotees are cursed, they're harassed, they're killed. There are many things that can happen. That doesn't mean it's not Krishna's protection, but there is always a plan of Krishna. There is always an ultimate plan of the Lord, even though from our neophyte perspective, from our lack of realization, our lack of understanding, it may be difficult to understand at the time. For example, how can a pure devotee like Maharaj Parikshit be cursed by a young Brahmin boy? Maharaj Parikshit was powerful enough to negate the curse. But why was he cursed? Because we see ultimately the Srimad Bhagavatam was delivered. So there are explanations in Srila Prabhupada's teachings and Prabhupada's books and conversations about all of these incidents. And it's up to us as his followers and his students to carefully hear the message from the master. Why do we approach a spiritual master? Just because he's living? Or because we want to hear spiritual knowledge? This is very important. I mean, I'm sure some of you have heard that during Prabhupada's manifested presence, some people were initiated who never physically saw Prabhupada. Many people were initiated, they only saw Prabhupada for half an hour. But in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, it says before one is initiated, he should physically live with the guru for 6 months and disciples, so he can have mutual pariksha, mutual examination, whether the relationship is compatible. But many devotees didn't spend 6 months with Prabhupada, cooking his dal and chapatis, watching his dhoti, asking him questions. No, that's not how things were done. Maybe in 1966 for a few months, but Prabhupada established a worldwide system of representative, temple presidents, senior devotees, the Samkirtan leaders, senior devotees who would guide the devotees, train him for 6 months, recommend him for initiation. So there are so many things that Prabhupada did that were unconventional, unprecedented. So it's up to us to be very carefully study and understand the ways and means that Prabhupada adopted to preach Krishna consciousness. This is very important because now we see so many new methods. It's like a couple of years ago, a devotee sent me a picture of deities trying to dress Radha Krishna as Santa Claus. Oh, where did that come from? Because they invent things, they manufacture new things, or introducing some demigod worship. So many new things have happened since 1977, and these things happen because devotees do not understand who is Srila Prabhupada and what is the position of a pure devotee, a Nitya Siddha, an empowered representative, a Satyavisha avatar. And this is what we're going to be discussing for the next several classes or hearing and discussions. And at this point, I'd like to get comments from Ishan Prabhu, and any admonishments or chastisements are also welcome. Hare Krishna.
I won't chastise you today. So we're reading in the purport to text 17 that these Pandavas, they knew nothing except Krishna, and therefore the Lord was always ready to help them in all respects. This is a relationship. Because they knew nothing for protection except Krishna, therefore Krishna proportionately was always, therefore the Lord who is always ready to help them in all respects, since that is the transcendental nature of the Lord. This is the way spiritual life works. I'm talking about our relationship with Śrīla Prabhupāda. As much as we he reciprocates the dependence of the devotee. One should not look, therefore, for help from other sources. I'm making simpler the text. One should look for all help from Krishna, who is competent to save his devotee. And then next verse 18, Kunti Devi, she says, you are existing both within and without everything, yet you are invisible to all. So what do we say? Who is Srila Prabhupada? The external manifestation of the Lord within our heart, invisible to all. He's invisible to all on the outside, although he's walking on this planet. Some are taking him to be one of us, an ordinary human being, and he's invisible to all that we do not see that he's within our heart. So Srila Prabhupada, he's empowered by Krishna, Shakti Avatar, that he, Srila Prabhupada, can enter into the heart of all of us. So he's the external manifest. He's given by Krishna the power of the all-pervasive supersoul, that he's the external manifestation, something we can see with our eyes, of he's in a external manifestation of the all-pervasive Lord within our heart. That therefore we can all have a living relationship with him simultaneously, and he can relate to us as good as Krishna within our heart. Therefore, we're talking in these very texts here how Krishna entered the heart of Uttara to protect Maharaj Parikshit. He protects his devotee from within the heart. So in the same way, Srila Prabhupada, what does he protect us from? Is there a Brahmastra? No. Brahmastra can take your life one time, but there's a worse weapon than that. And that's called Maya, the illusory energy of Krishna that we have been laboring under for millions of births, always identifying with this body as me, whether I'm a cat or a dog, a chicken or an iguana. And I'm trying to be satisfied in this way. So then, that Srila Prabhupada can protect us from Maya. Now, how is that? Just as Lord Krishna can enter the heart with his Sudarshan chakra and protect Maharaj Parikshit. How does Srila Prabhupada? But we read, it was said, how much does he protect his devotee? To the degree that the devotee depends on Krishna, to that degree he protects. To the degree that we're having intimate relationship with Srila Prabhupada, to that degree he protects our heart. We can try to be good boys and girls, try to be determined in so many ways, but if we have, it will never work. Maya is too strong. But if we have a living relationship with Srila Prabhupada, all we have to do is keep him in our heart, and automatically, by his association, we're protected from Maya as much as Maharaj Parikshit is protected from the Brahmastra of Aswatthama. This is making Krishna consciousness a science, not my religion. I'm a member. There's so many. It's Srila Prabhupada said, not a sentiment, but a living experience of that protection of Krishna through Srila Prabhupada. to have that experience, that makes it a science. Therefore, Krishna says, Kadbidi pranipatena. You approach him with submissive inquiry and you render service. He can impart this knowledge unto you because he's in touch with Krishna. So what is that? That knowledge that he can protect us from Maya and give us connection with Krishna simply by being in touch with him. That's his potency. That's what he's here to share. But he gives as much as we try to be fixed. Like Kukur, Yaśodā-nandana, like the dog. Have you ever seen the dog with the master? The slightest move or gesture of the master, and the dog is looking immediately. Immediately, whatever the master is feeling, the dog is feeling because he's so. That is the meaning of paraprashnena, submissiveness. That is the meaning of submissiveness. How much we are submissive to feel Srila Prabhupada's presence and the power of his presence. I'm on talking on the class. Not yet. Hare Krishna. So this is we're talking about this, how the Pandavas are protected, how Uttara is protected. It's in proportion to their dependence. How Draupadi, we were mentioning how Draupadi was protected. She said, "Hey Govinda!" When they're trying to take her clothes off in the royal assembly to show her body to everyone, her only thought is, only Krishna can save me. When we have this degree of dependence, immediately Srila Prabhupada will save us from all Maya, place us on the transcendental platform. Hare Krishna.
Very important points. I wanted to read something that somebody sent me. This is a statement from Bhaktivedanta Thakur in a book called Krishna Samhita, where he described different obstacles to bhakti. It says, Bhakti tejo samridya tu svotkarsha jnanavan naraha. Keshi, a demon in the form of a horse, personifies the practitioner's conception of being more expert than others in devotional service. When he comes to Vraja, he creates a great disturbance. As a Vaishnava gradually begins proclaiming his own superiority, a mentality of disrespect for the Lord arises, and the devotee falls from his position. Therefore, it is most important to prevent this evil mentality from entering the heart. Even if one is expert in devotional service, a Vaishnava will never give up the quality of humility. If one does so, then there is a need for killing Keshi. This is the 18th obstacle. This is from Sri Krishna Samhita, Chapter 8, Direct and Indirect Considerations on the Moods of Braja, text number 29. Let us proceed. Are there any questions, Ram Raghava, that we should address?
Yes, Prabhu. Rasikeshwari Mataji has a question and Nitai Das has a question.
Yes, Rasikeshwari Mataji, please go ahead. Hello?
Okay, we could take the question from Nitai Das, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my obeisances to you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Little question, maybe you know who is says that Srila Prabhupada only Nityananda Shakti Veshavatara. Who is said that? Because my meditation and my humble thoughts about the Srila Prabhupada is Krishna Balarama incarnation, like like we know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is incarnation of Radha and Krishna, two persons in one Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and our Śrīla Prabhupada is when he been in New York, when he start preaching, he sit in park, square park, yes, and he chant like Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And why only Nityananda Shaktivesh Avatara? Who is said that? Hare Krishna, maybe you know.
I don't know where these ideas are from, Prabhu. I've never heard Prabhupada making statement that he was an incarnation of Nityananda or Lord Chaitanya. As a matter of fact, Prabhupada has many times warned devotees not to speculate. There's many discussions that I've seen people claiming that Prabhupada was in this rasa or that rasa. Prabhupada never really revealed clearly his specific rasa with Krishna. And to claim that he was a incarnation of Nityananda or Lord Chaitanya, that's not accurate. This is not a proper statement. Now, the reason why we say that Prabhupada was an especially Shaktiavesha avatar is because of his accomplishment and his activities, and also the fact that he was predicted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and other associates. Now, there's a lot of speculation, just like one devotee, Kevan Ji, made a statement that Lilamrita by Saswarup has many false memories, as the devotees have discussed and analyzed in our class before. The difficulty with many of these, for example, let me back up here a little bit. In the Bhagavatam, in the 7th canto, Prabhupada explains in one purport that there's no need to understand the past of a Vaishnava, especially a pure Vaishnava or an empowered Vaishnava like Prabhupada. When people look at Prabhupada's activities, how he was in Calcutta and how he went to school, Prabhupada made a lot of statements in his books, different conversations, different letters about his life. That's fine. But when people speculate and engage in different interpretations of what that means, just like in one place, in one of these so-called biographies, they say Prabhupada was like a derelict in the street, or a derelict is like a hobo or a homeless person. But this is not the proper way to describe a pure devotee, or to try to call Prabhupada Abai. Well, a disciple is never supposed to call his spiritual master by his first name. He should always use an honorific title. That is described in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. Whenever a disciple addresses the spiritual master, he should ask either a Vishnupad, Prabhupada. That is an empowered spiritual master. So there's many misconceptions about the way things have been presented, many speculation and inaccuracies. And I know this personally because I was physically present with many of these incidences described in that book, and things did not happen the way they claim. For example, there was one devotee in Australia who used to be Prabhupada's personal chauffeur. Every time that Prabhupada came to Australia, he drove the car everywhere. He was in Prabhupada's room every day, morning and night. Prabhupada one time asked him to become a GBC, to do this, to do that. A very senior devotee. And this devotee was present there practically for every incident, for every pastime of Prabhupada in Australia. And many of the descriptions that have been given in some of these biographies it's not exactly accurate, because devotees are trying to look at these incidents and give their own interpretation. We cannot interpret the mood of a pure devotee. We cannot speculate upon what Prabhupada was thinking, whether he was a derelict in the street, or Prabhupada really meant this or that. You know, that's why Prabhupada wanted devotees to be educated by reading his books, carefully reading and studying his books. For example, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Madhya Lila, there's the study of the Kaliya lake, how there was one fisherman who every night would go fishing, and he had a little lamp on his boat. And people thought that this is Krishna dancing on the hoods of Kaliya. And the servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Baladeva Bhattacharya, wanted to go see Krishna. And in the purport, Prabhupada says, unless one is enlightened by the knowledge given by the spiritual master, he cannot understand things as they are, even though he may remain constantly with the spiritual master, unquote. This whole living thing, this whole physical living thing. Just because somebody was physically living with Prabhupada every day does not guarantee that they've understood his teachings or understood what he was preaching. And this has been seen because, practically speaking, and we don't mean this as a criticism or trying to cast aspersions on anybody, but many individuals who had a lot of physical, personal, living association with Prabhupada ended up to become some of the biggest deviants, in some cases, the biggest debauchees. So just mere physical association is not guarantee of spiritual understanding. Spiritual understanding comes by submissively hearing from the Acharya. And this is what Prabhupada repeatedly, every day, kept telling us. There's one conversation in the Prabhupada books where Prabhupada said, don't spend so much time eating and sleeping. Go read the books. Prabhupada says it again, read the books. But my point is, how do people come up with many of these ideas? Like after Prabhupada departed, there was a rumor that some devotees were incarnations of Nityananda or something. Well, it's possible. I'm not going to say it's not possible. But usually incarnations of Nityananda are predicted in the Shastra. And they behave in a certain way. In other words, what I'm trying to say, and I'm not trying to criticize you, because there's a lot of ideas and stories and legends, and this is just 46 years after Prabhupada. What is it going to be in 100 years? A lot of stories are manufactured, a lot of ideas are being told, like this bogus idea that Prabhupada appointed 11 successors and the chosen ones. Well, it's a pious belief, but where's the reality of this? Where is the evidence for all this? So in other words, if one is infected with this pratishta disease of profit, adoration, distinction, desire for honor, profit, everything, it's very difficult to see things clearly. That's why we have constantly look in our own hearts and clear out all of these misunderstanding and false ideas, so then the proper reception of proper statements can come true. I hope that helps. You raise your hand again? Okay,
Hare
go ahead.
Krishna, a little question. Bhaktivedanta Thakur said that Srila Prabhupada is Senapati Bhakta. This is true? This is what we can accept?
I think you have the wrong Thakur. It was Lochan Das Thakur, not
Lochan Das
Bhaktivedanta
Thakur.
Thakur. Bhaktivedanta
Lochan Das.
Thakur predicted that there would be a person who would come and preach Krishna consciousness to the West, and everybody would come to Mayapur and say, Jai Lord Chaitanya, Jai Nitai Gaur, like that. Jai Sachinandana. That was one prediction of Bhaktivedanta Thakur in his journal, The Harmonists. So the Sajjana Toshani. The Lochan Das Thakur wrote a book, Chaitanya Mangala, who predicted that there would be one great Senapati Bhakta, or great general, and he would preach Krishna consciousness all over the world. That particular prediction was done by Lochan Das Thakur, and that will also be cited in that little booklet that we're reading today, as we will progress to all of these different quotes and understanding. But for today, what we should learn from hearing this is Prabhupada is an eternally liberated soul, a Nitya Siddha, or eternally liberated soul from the spiritual world that has been sent by Krishna and Lord Chaitanya to spread Krishna consciousness. That's why after Prabhupada departed, many disciples, when they saw all these different pod titles, they started to object and say, who is given all these titles? We know in Prabhupada's manifested presence, he didn't give anybody the title Bhakti Pod, Vishnu Pod, this pod, that pod. It was all self-bestowed titles. It's like, okay, well, we don't want to commit offense towards anybody or minimize anybody's service, but we don't want to make everything a joke, a practical joke. That's very important. In other words, our whole practice of Krishna consciousness is based upon a philosophy. There's a philosophy behind this. We're not interested in self-promotional self-aggrandizement. That's why it's very important to keep a very humble, very mild, very humble attitude. That's what we should always remember. Qu'est-ce que tu penses, Madame Rochisa? Est-ce que c'est correct? Oui? Rochisa Mataji approved. She approves. Okay, Ram Bhagava Prabhu, any other questions or chastisements or admonishments? Welcome to.
No, Prabhu, sorry, but I have to be elsewhere. I was supposed to be
Okay.
out for about 15 minutes ago, so the Vaishnava pranams are ready.
Okay, very good. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees who are like desire trees, fulfilling the desires of everyone, who are full of what's that grace? Who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thanks everybody for participating. Ishan Prabhu for helping and correcting me with my rambling and babbling. And Nitai Prabhu, Das Prabhu for your very nice questions. Rochisa Mataji for her Mataji. Andabaya Mataji in North Carolina. Thank you for participating. Chaitanya Prabhu and everybody around there. Thank you for your participating. Vijay Pandit in Italy. Come va, Prabhu? Come va? Molto bene.
Bene,
Tutto
bene,
bene.
molto bene. Tutto
Very
bene,
good.
grazie.
And everybody
Books are
participating,
going out.
please join us again next week. And I want to make a brief announcement. We're trying to prepare a Vyasa Puja offering for Śrīla Prabhupada for Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja celebration in the beginning of September. Please send your offerings either to Ram Raghava or myself or any of us at HKS, and we will publish your offering. Even if it's very short or very long, please send this. That would be very nice. Thanks, everybody. Ram Raghava Prabhu, thank you so much. Rupa Goswami and Mumbai, India, thank you so much for helping and everybody participating. Hare Krishna. All glories to His Divine Grace Śrīla Prabhupāda. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna Krishna